guys, welcome back to Educator Dr. Mom TV. So today I'm going to walk you through a quick and easy meal that I make for my family. It is a stuffed lasagna roll and it is a non-dairy version. So there are a handful of ingredients that I use, quick and easy. This is the lasagna sheet that I use. It is a almond-based lasagna sheet. I also use shiitake mushrooms. They are a meatier form of a mushroom. And then I use a almond-based ricotta cheese as the base for the filling in the middle. This one also comes, I believe, in a cashew base. There's lots of different nut-based ricottas that you can get. And then I just use a variety of vegetables. Red onions and green onions, and then also colored peppers and zucchini. But you can really put in this whatever you want. Sometimes I use spinach. I've put squash in it before, and I also used minced garlic. I also use a basil-based tomato sauce. Again, that's how I get another vegetable in there. Sometimes I have fresh basil as well. And then just a couple of different seasonings. This one is an everyday seasoning that I use. It's pretty much all-purpose. And then I'm also going to use garlic powder and then an herb seasoning. And this just has different herbs in it, Italian-based herbs in it. And then finally, I make sure that I have a spray for my casserole dish to make sure that the lasagna sheets do not stick. Finally, I have parsley, and I am also going to top the lasagna rolls with this dairy-free Parmesan cheese that is actually really good. I think you'll like it if you try it. So the first step is to just chop up all of your vegetables. Now, this step is really to your preference. If you'd like to have a hearty, chunky, texturized lasagna roll, then you would want to make, larger chunks. I'm kind of dicing up my vegetables, and this is totally a meal that you can prep ahead of time on your meal prep day. So if you know that this is something you want to make, I already have my onions cut up for another dish that I was making. So if I did meal prep, then I would have had all of these vegetables already chopped, ready to go, and that would have cut the time on this meal by another 10 minutes. So having your vegetables cut ahead of time can really be beneficial to your process if you're trying to save time. The last step in the process of prep is to just cut up your mushrooms. Again, it depends on how meaty you want your texture to be. I don't want mine to be too chunky. However, I do want it to feel like there is meat inside of this dish. And so I just make it in little small chunks as opposed to dicing it up. The amount of vegetables and mushrooms that you use is going to vary. So for me, I cut up what you saw on the board, but it depends on how much you're going to make. I am going to make about 12 lasagna rolls because my casserole dish is a nice size, but it depends on how much you want to make. And so just keep that in mind as you are deciding what vegetables and mushrooms you're going to use. Next step in the process is to make your filling for the lasagna roll. And so the base of the filling is this ricotta cheese. And so you want to dump your ricotta cheese into a mixing bowl. And then you really want to season your ricotta cheese because this is the base. You want it to have a lot of flavor. So the first thing I'm going to season with is the minced garlic. This is going to start my flavor profile off, and then I'm going to add in some of the seasonings before I add in the vegetables. I'm pretty generous with the minced garlic. I think that it is a really good foundational seasoning, flavoring that you can add to almost anything to give it a boost. And then adding the additional seasonings and herbs really gives it the Italian flavor that you want your lasagna rolls to have. So once it's all seasoned up, I'm just going to mix all of the seasonings together to make sure that the ricotta is nice and flavorful. And now I'm going to add in the vegetables. If you wanted to give your vegetables a quick saute before you mix them into the ricotta, you could definitely do that. I like my vegetables to be as fresh as possible when I'm stuffing them so that they don't overcook. But if you really wanted to give them some extra flavor, you could saute them in some vegetable oil with the minced garlic before you mix them into the ricotta cheese. If you find that your ricotta is a little thick, you can pour some of the juice from the minced garlic in there and it will give it a nice loose texture. It also is going to depend on how many vegetables you mix into your ricotta. That's going to depend on the thickness as well. And so I cut up way too many vegetables here. I'm going to add the rest of these to another recipe later. And now I'm going to get ready to stuff my lasagna rolls. So the lasagna roll is pretty long. The first thing you want to do that I forget to do sometimes is to spray my casserole dish. If you don't spray your dish, it is going to stick. And so I have a olive oil spray here that I use. And then the lasagna roll is pretty long. And so I cut the lasagna rolls in half and I fill half at a time. And it's a lot of stuffing that I put inside of it. So you want to make sure that it's enough of a lasagna roll so that you could do a full roll, but you don't need a whole lasagna sheet in order to do that. So as you can see here, I kind of cut that in half and then I just roll it. And because the oil is the avocado oil is in there too, it helps it to stick. And so then I just repeat and I just do this until my casserole dish is filled up. These lasagna rolls are really, really good. The actual lasagna sheet. The almond flour, I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out in terms of how it was going to cook, especially since it was dry. Sometimes dry lasagna noodles are not always cooperative with me, but these were awesome. They were easy to manipulate in terms of rolling them, and then they were also really, really tender once they were out of the oven. They didn't overcook. They stayed nice and soft, al dente, and they turned out really good. And most importantly, they didn't fall apart while I was rolling them. Now I'm going to simply pour the basil tomato sauce over the lasagna rolls. And so you just want to spread it out and evenly coat them as much as possible. You don't have to get every single speck on every single roll, but you do want to spread it out as much as possible because you don't want the lasagna roll to be exposed because it might burn. So you want to try to get as much sauce as you can on all of the rolls. So I just take a spoon and kind of spread it out a little bit to make sure that I don't have any edges that might burn. While I'm doing this, I will say that my oven is already preheating and waiting for me so that once I have the Parmesan on top, I can put it right in the oven. This dairy-free Parmesan is a really good brand. I have tried almost any dairy-free cheese you can think of, and they don't always turn out. Some of them don't melt, which is really hard for me to believe that a cheese substitute is cheese if it doesn't melt. And so this is a good one. It melts, especially under the broiler. And now it is all ready to go into the oven. As you can see, the cheese is bubbling up and it is looking nice and yummy. And I usually keep it in for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes at the most, and then it's ready. So the last step in the process is to garnish with fresh parsley. I also made a salad while the lasagna was cooking, and you could also add garlic bread or whatever you'd like to make a complete meal. So here you have it, stuffed non-dairy ricotta lasagna rolls. I hope that this is going to be a quick and easy meal that you can add to your weekly menu. Please give it a thumbs up and share with someone else if you think they can get value from it. Thanks for watching.